I bet as Arsenal fans, if you're watching this video, you all smiled a little bit at the news that Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Magalhaes have been pulled out of the England and Brazil squads, thinking, great, they're not going to be playing the internationals, then they're going to be ready for Man City. Maybe there'd have been a little bit of doubt around their actual fitness and them being available for that, but I think there was the hope that Arsenal would deploy in the dark arts. I certainly felt the way a little bit. However, I actually think there's a little bit of concern here, especially for Bukayo Saka, and quite frankly, the way he's been used as an Arsenal player in the squad. Now, people always argue with me, you're not a medical expert, what do you know? Sure, I hear that, but I think you can bring pretty tangible evidence to suggest that Arsenal should have done more to try and support and help Bukayo Saka when it comes to his role in the squad, which is about hugging the touchline, running at fullbacks, tracking back and working really hard to protect his fullback as well, getting tackled, getting fouled, trying to score goals. Like, he's got a lot of responsibility. I don't think Arsenal have done enough to address some of the issues that might be rearing its head now. Let me go into it, because Team News and Ticks, who isn't an official reporter or source from what I can see, but has been very, very reliable when it comes to his information on Twitter, which is why I'll bring it to you, because he has been reliable and spot on in the past, said that England didn't think Bukayo Saka was worth, being put under more strain for the injury he's got, and he wasn't pulled out of the club by Arsenal, by the club, but he should be fine for the Man City game. That's all very encouraging. But if you just look at the first part of that tweet, he does say that Saka has been carrying an injury for a long time, and he regularly goes away to have extra treatment on it. That's suddenly a little bit more concerning, because has had an injury for a long time. Real emphasis on how long this might have been, and that he's regularly had to go away for extra treatment. Mo said a similar thing as well. Mo, who I've spoken about on this channel before, his information's always been really good, and he said that he's not going to play through his injury for England meaningless friendlies, but when it comes to Arsenal, he's happy to kind of put himself on the line, but he's been sort of carrying this injury for a while. That's all a little bit concerning, especially when you look at the fact that Arsenal haven't really done enough to be prepared for this kind of situation. And actually, if Bukayo Saka does need extra rest, be in a position where they can go, you know what, it's fine, we don't need you. It feels like every single game we need Bukayo Saka. And this is why. When you look at the forwards that Arsenal have signed since Mikel Arteta arrived, Willian on a free transfer and Marquinhos for 3 million have basically just been money down the drain, and that's not even very much money at all. But Willian was appalling, and Marquinhos has had no real impact at all and isn't going to make it at Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus, Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz are the other three that you can put in there, and they make up 137 of that £140 million total spend on forward since Mikel Arteta arrived. But when you look at them, the closest to Bukayo Saka in terms of a profile is Marquinhos, and he's not been good enough. The rest, Jesus has done a job out on the right, but he's not a right winger. And Trossard and Kai Havertz are much more pass combination players, who I think do better when they're as a false nine, certainly, than they do when out on the wing. So then that leaves Arsenal with this set of forwards in the current squad. And what I've got is, I've put them in order of likeliness to play out on the wing. And of course, Bukayo Saka and Martinelli are the top two. Reece Nelson is the most similar in profile as well, but he's not a really trusted member of the squad. Arteta has used him fairly sparingly, despite giving him a new deal that is worth, I think, pretty significant money, but hasn't really been opting to use him. Leandro Trossard has played out on the wing more than Gabriel Jesus, but neither of them, again, like I just mentioned, feel like natural fits. They're certainly not like Bukayo Saka and Martinelli in terms of where they play that position. Eddie Nketiah has played out wide, and Vieira Smith-Rowe can play out on the wings, but not really. They're more like wide 10s, and they certainly won't add anything in terms of pace and penetration out wide. Kai Havertz, we've never seen it. I don't think we will, but he is, of course, a forward in Arsenal squad. So when I look at that, I go, well, you've only got really Reece Nelson, who can do what Bukayo Saka and Martinelli do, but he just can't do it to anywhere near that level. So could we have not brought anyone in that would at least allow Bukayo Saka to take a break, and you'd still have pretty much the same profile and functionality on that right hand side, even if they're not quite to Bukayo Saka's quality, but still a very, very good level that can do a big job for the Arsenal team. Now, we'll go back to the transfers in a sec, because I do think that's an important part of this video. Let's just talk about Bukayo Saka a little bit more, and the minutes he's played since his first full season in the 2021 season for Arsenal, where he's played upwards of 2,500 minutes in every season. He's on course for that this season, and the club rank for most minutes played in the Premier League that season had him second for his debut season, and then third for the following seasons after that. So he is always one of Arsenal's most used players. And when you compare his minutes to other Premier League wingers like Phil Foden, Mo Salah, Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford, he has played the most. Since his first full season at Arsenal, he has played including that first full season, I say, he's played the most minutes, more than Mo Salah, more than Sterling, Rashford and Phil Foden. It's incredible. It's just like, this is what I mean. Everyone says you're not a medical expert. What do you know? I know the numbers are telling me that he's playing more than these players, and the reason that these players that are also very good and very important to their team aren't playing the sheer amount of minutes that Bukayo Saka is. So it takes us back to what could Arsenal have done to avoid this situation. I think the reality is that Arsenal missed opportunities in the transfer window. The likes of, Kudus, for example, who's at West Ham doing brilliantly, Moussa Diaby as well at Aston Villa, they were available just last summer. And there have been other players as well that have been available over the years, but those are two in the summer just gone that, we kept hearing reports, Arsenal want to sign a winger, Arsenal want to address the balance and get some depth for Saka and Martinelli, and they never got it done, and those are two really, really big ones we missed out on. So now I go to the list of players that are available for potentially this summer. One of them is Pedro Neto, who I think is a really exciting player, can play left and right. I think could slot in for either one of them, and I don't think our level would drop massively, even if he's not quite as good as Martinelli and Saka. With some work with Mikel Arteta, there's no reason why he couldn't be, but he's got injury problems himself. He's got, an inability to stay fit. He had one really long-term injury. It looks like every sort of few months that kind of rears its head and he has more problems. You've got other players like Elise, you've got Mbemo from Brentford, who I think is really, really good, but he's had injury problems this year, but I think that might just be one long-term injury. I wonder whether Arsenal would look at someone like Brian Mbemo from Brentford. And you could go in for Mohamed Kudus as well. Again, someone who we wanted last season, who's doing really well at West Ham, but where they paid, 30 to 45 million, I think they paid. It was around that figure, the fee. What are they going to be demanding for him now? He's been immense. He's pushed Bowen up front. Bowen was playing out on the right and they were going for more of a target man striker. Bowen's now playing up front to ensure that Kudus is actually getting minutes. He scored some unbelievable goals across the Premier League and in Europe. He is just looking a superb signing for West Ham. They're going to want 80 million, aren't they? They're going to want double, if not more than double, what they paid for him, and rightly so, because he's brilliant. And do we want to get into another transfer saga with West Ham? So, to sum this all up, everyone, I'm just in a position where I think Arsenal it'd be an absolute mess to go another transfer window without signing a winger. Yes, we need a striker, we know that. And maybe if you sign a striker, Gabriel Jesus can get more minutes out wide, and it feels like he can do a really good job there, like he did against Man City, for example, in the league earlier this season. But I think we really, really need someone who is a genuine like for like. And I'm not just talking profile, I'm talking quality. Someone who you can look at and go, yeah, that player can do something that maybe even Bukayo Saka can't. And maybe they offer qualities in other ways, or maybe they're not quite as good, but my word, are they brilliant still, because people are talking about Bukayo Saka maybe being world class. We don't need another world class winger. We need someone who's of a level that we are really comfortable putting in against pretty much anyone from 9th and lower in the Premier League. We should be able to play whoever is 11th in the table at home or away, wherever it is, and go, Saka, you can be on the bench for this one. Look how many times Pep Guardiola will go, De Bruyne, we don't need you for this game. Kevin De Bruyne, probably one of the greatest midfielders the Premier League's ever seen, and he'll be rested every now and again. As will Phil Foden, as will many of their stars. And Arsenal, I don't think, are in that position. And yeah, you could talk about that for lots of positions in the team. But I do think out on the wing in particular, when you're hearing that Bukayo Saka's had to play through injuries, why? Because we probably don't have any squad depth that we feel really comfortable using in the absence of Bukayo Saka. It just makes me think Arsenal can't let another summer window go by without bringing in a proper winger, proper £50 million or more winger that can do a job on either flank and ensure that Martinelli and Saka get the rest that they really need throughout the season. And I just want to say a really big thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, actually hit the links right here to watch more content like this, including my Football First podcast, which drops every Monday to Friday at 6 AM. And I know it's annoying, I am really sorry to have to ask, but if you want to show support to the channel, hitting the like and subscribe buttons help promote the content much more than you could possibly know. Thanks again.